let's therefore raise the big question: is the United Kingdom still a safe haven for fugitives? Why is extradition from the United Kingdom tough? Is the government really serious, the Modi government serious in nabbing the fugitives, many of whom have left under the watch of this government? Joining me now is Kanwal Sibal, former Indian Foreign Secretary, joins me. I'll also be joined in a moment by Tanveer Ahmed Mir, senior criminal lawyer, and Burzeen Wagmar from the SOAS South Asia Institute of the University of London also joins me. Let me come to you, Burzeen, first there. We've seen India from time to time claim that they are working with the United States to extradite economic offenders, but there's been very little progress in that matter. In fact, today Jairam Ramesh of the Congress tweeted that we need a fugitive agreement, not just a trade agreement. What is the reason that UK is seen to be such a safe haven for many of these economic offenders?
I would foreground those remarks against the fact that the obstruction of justice is at heart. Ambulance chasing lawyers, perverse obstruction of justice by judges, which works to the advantage of such economic offenders, but also other illegal aliens who are present on British soil, and the wide, perverse interpretation of what is the Human Rights Act, which in itself is a very much discussion that is ongoing as we speak with the current government and as well as the previous Sunak administration. And in more ways than one, that has been used perversely to the hilt by such individuals and by lawyers who make a killing out of it. Under the ambit of human rights, it does work to the advantage, which is why the Home Office is left, pretty much paralyzed. It is not, Rajdeep, I must state, the political dispensation's view not to cooperate on a bilateral basis with another country and with India, with whom ties are intimate in more ways than one, considering that India and UK are now a part of the Quad, Indo-Pacific strategy, so on and so forth, building up on centuries of relations. It's just that it's these aspects which are obstructionist, and there is much momentum here locally to veer out of it in terms of this Human Rights Act and the ECHR provisions that have worked in favor of not just these offenders, but also complaints from other UK close allies, including GCC states, who have a far more intimate security military relationship with London than New Delhi does, in terms of Islamists who have found a comfortable haven on British soil, and where extradition also plays a major role. And they've also been able to use the question of human rights to their advantage.
Kanwal Sibal, listening there to Burzeen, there are two aspects to this. There is, of course, the legal system in the United Kingdom, which perhaps offers a protective veil to many of these so-called economic offenders. But there's also the question of intent. There's a belief that the Indian government hasn't done enough. For example, Nirav Modi, someone who was arrested and remains in custody in the United Kingdom, crimes committed in India, but the Indian government has found it very difficult to extradite him. Can it only be blamed on the law? Is there a question of intent as well, which is why many of the economic offenders are finding UK to be a safe haven?
Let me give you an example of Vijay Mallya. Went through a long legal process. The courts allowed his extradition. And one thought that he would be extradited. And then suddenly the whole process stopped. And our friend Boris Johnson, then Prime Minister, was pretty candid in saying, without revealing what the real problem is, that there is a provision within the government of freshly looking at the whole thing, but what the basis and the parameters are secret and cannot be divulged to any foreign government. So actually it's the government that stopped the extradition. So Britain
but why has the Indian government not front-loaded it? I mean, let's be very clear, Kanwal Sibal. Vijay Mallya claims, first of all, that he's innocent, that he's repaid all his loans, that he would like to come back to India, but he doesn't have trust in our criminal justice system. But why hasn't the government front-loaded these issues? Most of these people have spent a decade and more in the United Kingdom now.
You're absolutely right. The case was fought, and as I said, it went through the full legal process, and the British High Court, actually, the Home Ministry to begin with, and the British courts allowed his extradition. But the government has stopped it. Now, point is, what you're saying is that what is the kind of pressure government of India should use in other fields to
Yes.
compel Britain to extradite Malia. Now, this is a problem that we face diplomatically with a whole lot of countries because they will not bend to your priorities, to your demands, and then they place you in a position where you may have to use some other points of pressure to get your way. Then you have to decide whether it is worth it. Now, for example, in this case, I'm just speaking theoretically, we would have said, look, we're not going to sign this Vision to 2035 or whatever else we want to do with you or enter into some defense agreements with you unless we get satisfaction on this. Now, are we willing to make these kind of links in our diplomacy towards not only the United States,
No,
UK,
should
but other
we?
countries?
No, but let me ask you very clearly, should we? Have we been less than enthusiastic in a way? Have we? It's very easy to put it all the blame on the UK government. The UK
Now,
government has
point is,
approved they've approved most of these extraditions. It's stuck in the legal system. But has India been proactive enough? A straight answer to that.
I would say that you have to measure very carefully what your larger interests are and whether Vijay Mallya's extradition is so much at the core of your national interest that you are
Right.
willing to sacrifice other areas of the national interest, which are far more important and make it an issue. Look at the whole Khalistani issue and all the space they get in that country. Now, we've been protesting against it. We've been putting pressure. We've not got full satisfaction. Again, the same question arises. Are you going to make this actually the litmus test of any
Okay.
future good relationship with the United Kingdom, or you keep pressing on these issues, but let the relationship move forward in which you can gain something very substantial from the relationship?
Okay.